this in my mind. I'm so bad at this. Just have one of those mental blocks. Try that again. Yeah, Charlie Condou and Chris Bozai. Are you okay?
Yeah, sure.
All right. There you go.
Well, here we are.
Cheers. Ladies and gentlemen, first of all, Charlie Condou. Can I start by going way, way back and saying, oh, actually, I showed my wife a picture of you last night, and I said, how old is he? She said, 38.
Spot on.
He's aged much better than you. Going way back, you wanted to be an actor from a very early age, or?
I did, I suppose. I started doing little bits when I was at school. I did Robin of Sherwood, for those of you that remember that series back in the 80s. Yeah, long time ago. You do? I don't even remember me from that. So I was about 12 then, but then I started. I think it started properly for me when I was about 18.
Yeah.
I started working professionally then, you know, making a career from it. So yes, it's been a very, very long time. I'm 52 now, so well, yeah, however long that is, 40 years.
Did you find the transition from child actor to adult actor quite easy?
I did all right, actually. I was lucky. I think a lot of people do find it difficult, but I seemed to do okay. I left school and I was lucky enough to get a TV series for ITV called Frank Stubbs Promotes. It was about a sports agent, and the lead role was played by Tim Spall. And Leslie Sharp was his sister, and I played his son. And it was quite a big show at the time, and then it got recommissioned for a second series. So I left school and suddenly went into quite a nice job, and I think that just sort of set the ball rolling for me. So it was a fairly easy transition, not so easy for a lot of people.
Do you prefer television to stage, or?
Oh, I get asked that question a lot. I prefer the money to television, without a doubt. I like stage because I feel like you have more control over what you're doing. You get a long rehearsal process. I mean, on TV you never get any time to rehearse at all. You might get time to do a line run, but that's about it, and then you're off. Whereas on stage you can have 4 or 5 weeks of rehearsing, and then once you're out there, you're running it, you know. If you mess up, it's your mistake to rectify. Whereas on TV, you know, everybody has a say, and if an editor or director or producer wants to change a scene around or cut it out or, you know, cut away from you on certain lines, they can, and you really have no say over the storytelling and how it all works. So I suppose I prefer theatre for that reason. But TV and film is definitely easier.
Do you find that, I mean, you worked long-term in soap opera in Coronation Street.
Yeah.
You find that's very fast, frenetic pace to get so much filmed in a short space of time?
Yeah, certainly. I mean, it definitely has taught me how to learn lines very quickly. I remember one day doing a scene in Coronation Street, and I was on my way into the Rovers where we were filming with Samia, who played my girlfriend at the time. And she said, "Oh, do you want to run through the lines quickly?" And it was like a 4 or 5 page scene, just the two of us. We started to do the line run, and we were doing different scenes. And I'd got it wrong. I'd learned a scene that we weren't filming for another week. I'd learned the scene that we were doing, so I just, on the way to the set, I just skimmed it really quickly and learnt it. And I think I was in Corrie for 5 years, when you've been doing it every day for that long, you just get really used to learning it very quickly. And then once you've done it, it's gone. You don't think about it again.
Yeah.
So I definitely got that skill. Not sure. I probably got into a lot of bad habits as well, but yeah, that was useful.
A lot of people obviously know you as Marcus from Coronation Street.
Yes.
That's an interesting role. Auntie Cotton's character's partner, isn't it?
For a while, yes, and then they broke us up, and then Who did I end up with after that? I don't know, I went through a few of them. I can't remember. I had another partner, and then I ended up with Maria, because, you know, it's soap, why not? I think they'd run out of people to put you with. They were like, oh, okay, let's put with a woman now. Then after a while, they were like, no, we'll put him with a man again. So I was with Todd and, you know, various people over the years.
We had words about this earlier, and I said, you got a snog Sammy Catty.
I did.
Exactly so as well. So you eventually left Corrie.
I left Corrie just because I'd been there for a long time. I never really planned on being there for that long. And my family were based in London, my kids were in London, and I just wasn't really seeing very much of them. So I was travelling up to Manchester on a Sunday afternoon and coming back on a Friday evening. And it's quite full on when you're on a show like that. And it's all encompassing. You never really get a break. And, 5 years I was done.
So you're just commuting between London and Manchester?
Yeah. Well, I had a flat up there, so I would stay there during the week. But it's quite a lot. And I always thought I'd just do a year and that would be that. But it's very easy to stay, you know, because, you know, they say, oh, we'd like you to do another year, and you the money, and you look at the fact that none of your friends are working, and you think, well, maybe this is a good thing to do. It's a great show.
Yeah,
you know, it will always be in my DNA. I think I'll always feel part of the Coronation Street family, so to speak.
I think so, yeah. And then you went from that to kind of another sort of in Bristol, is it, with Holby?
No, Holby was actually not filmed in Bristol. That's Casualty used to be. Maybe Holby used to be. Now that's Casualty is now in Cardiff, but Holby is in Elstree, just outside London. So that was a lot more convenient for me. In fact, that's where Joe Martin and I worked together for the first time. We knew each other anyway, but we worked together on Holby for the first time. And I was chatting to Joe a few months ago. She was telling me about these conventions. She said, why aren't you doing any of these Doctor Who conventions? And then she had a word with Matt and got me here. So it's all down to Joe's today.
This is your first experience of a convention?
It's not my first experience of a convention. I did a Coronation Street one in Toronto, which was insane.
Oh, that was great.
There were thousands of people over there, and that was really nuts. I was there for 4 days or something. This is the first Doctor Who one. Yeah. It's very nice. It's very low-key. Everyone seems really nice. Everyone seems very friendly. So far, all know each other. Yeah, it's been nice.
We're all used to each other.
Yeah, that's it.
So, talking of Doctor Who,
What do
the
you want to know?
Intergalactic Song Contest.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about how you got into that.
How I got into it? Well, I've done a few of the big Finish things, but I'd never been up for Doctor Who, and Russell's a friend of mine, and Phil Collinson, the producer, is a friend of mine, and in fact Juno Dawson, who wrote the episode, is a friend of mine. And I remember hearing all this, they were in the middle of filming, and I said to my partner, why have I never been seen for Doctor Who? You'd think they would have got me in at some point, there must be something in it. And literally 2 days later, I got a phone call saying, oh, you've been offered Doctor Who. It's just like that. And I said, oh, great. What's the part? And they sent me the script. And I didn't know that Kadif was playing my husband at the time. But we're very old friends. And we sort of have a very similar relationship. We're always taking the piss out of each other and winding each other up. So when I found out he was doing it, it was just perfect. I thought, this is going to be so much fun. And it just seemed like such a funny role. I got some good lines, so it was lovely. So that was how it came about, and then off we went.
There's a bit of a relationship, I think people in the room would agree with this. There's a bit of a relationship with Doctor Who and the Eurovision Song Contest. It seems to attract kind of like similar audiences, should we say?
Yeah, I don't know why that is, but certainly Juno, who wrote the episode, brilliant Juno Dawson, it's an incredible writer. She's a really big Eurovision fan, and I think Russell had approached her and said, we want to do an episode that's Eurovision meets Die Hard. And she was like, I'm all over that, and came up with the Interstellar Song Contest, which I think is a great episode. I mean, I'm biased, but I think it's a lot of fun.
it's silly mad.
Yeah, it's a mad one. Yeah, yeah.
But you've done Big Finish before.
I've done a few Big Finish productions. I think I've done 3 now, because I've done one of the new ones with Christopher Eccleston and Billy Piper, which I don't think has come out yet. I think you're supposed to say that.
We know nothing.
What's that?
See.
Please say, yeah. I'll tell you anything you need to know. No, I mean, yes, I'm doing one of those. I won't tell you what it's about. I don't know.
How do you find doing audio compared to TV and theatre?
Oh, I love those. Maybe because I don't have to learn it. I can read it. They're always really good fun. They're always, and I like the fact that the people that are behind Big Finish seem to be such big fans of the show. The episode, I've done 3 now, and they've all been really well written, really great stories. The kind of thing that you think, this would work on TV, actually. I mean, this would be a good episode in the show. And I just really enjoy doing them. I think, I like to, I've done a lot of voice work anyway, a lot of audio drama. I really enjoy it.
They say that with Doctor Who, those of us who remember the series finishing in '89, and then it went on with books and then into audio drama, just to sort of keep the show alive. I think the thing with Big Finish, I think maybe some of their script ideas might be a bit expensive for telly.
That's possible, yeah, that's for sure. But I love the creativity in it. I mean, that's the great thing about Doctor Who, is it can go anywhere, and it does. I mean, obviously with Disney money, they've been able to explore a lot of those things. But I think the budget has never been the thing about the show. It's always been about the imagination. And I think Russ has done some incredible things with it. He has such a vision for the show and where it can go. And I like that in the Big Finish stories as well. I love that they take it to places that are unexpected, I suppose.
So, would you be up for more Doctor Who if the chance came around?
No, never, definitely. Yeah, I mean, who wouldn't? It's such a fun show to be part of. It's part of this country. I mean, it's an iconic program, and it was a great show to be. And I love the character as well. God, I love it. I can't see the maybe. You never know. You never know.
Well, apparently there might be a vacancy on the show.
Maybe, there you go. You heard it here first. I'm the new Doctor.
Talking of which, what's in the current pipeline? Are you excited?
Yes, 2 things that are both really exciting, and I'm not sure that I'm allowed to talk about either of them. One of them is a TV series that I'm going to be doing that I think is being announced on Tuesday, and I had a phone call, or a text message rather, from the producer today saying, you're not allowed to talk about it, it's not been announced yet. So I promised I wouldn't say what that one is. The other one I'm doing is another TV series, which I think I am allowed to talk about, which is an updated Agatha Christie thing called Tommy and Tuppence, which is an Agatha Christie duo that they've brought forward to modern day London. And that's a 6-part series, so I start that next week, I think, and then we go through until the end of the year.
Are you playing characters?
I am, yeah. I'm not Tommy or Tuppence. They are played by much younger and prettier actors than me. And Imelda Staunton is the kind of elderly aunt, I suppose, although she's not particularly elderly. And I play another one of the characters in the show. That's a regular, one of the regulars. So that's nice.
When I was talking with one of my friends earlier, and he said, you'd like to be able to, you've got to ask him about Charlie Cook.
Yeah, that was, I did a TV series called Nathan Barley, probably about 21 years ago now. And Charlie Brooker wrote it before he'd done Black Mirror, and the huge success that he has now. And Chris Morris was the director. And that's another show that seems to have a bit of a cult following. It's one of those programs that really resonates with people, and they still, even today, people kind of quoted lines from it, I think. So.
A hit show.
Yeah, it's always nice.
Should we come off screen? Should you talk about what you do off screen?
Yeah,
you've been a really big player in being able for same-sex couples to have children.
Yes, I suppose so, yeah. Well, when I was doing it, there wasn't anybody else that was talking about it in the public eye, and I was in Corrie at the time, so I thought, well, I'll talk about it. So I went to The Guardian and asked if I could have a column in my arrogance. They'll give me a column, and they did. So I had a weekly column on Saturday, in the Saturday Guardian, in the family section, talking about my family and co-parenting and how we did it.
So have you been able to influence the way for more same-sex couples to...
All the gays are doing it now. Everyone. Well, nobody was doing it when I was young, and I think certainly not publicly. So then, Calvin and David, and H from Steps, they all came up. They copied me. So yeah, I don't know. I like to think in some ways talking about it openly changed the conversation. Maybe it did. Maybe it. But I think with same-sex marriage and all the things that have come over the last sort of 20 years, I think the world has moved on anyway. And if I've contributed in some small way to that, then that's a great thing. But I don't think it's my responsibility. I don't do it.
Somebody's got to.
Somebody's got to be the first.
Somebody's got to get forward. So good on you for doing that.
Thank you. Thank you.
So let's talk about some of the other future stuff you've got to do. Any ambitions?
Any ambitions? Well, today my ambition is to have an early night. It's
No
quite
chance.
exhausting, this. But no chance. No chance. I've got to get back down to London. I don't know. I'm quite happy with the way that things are going. Actually, I think work has been good. It's going to be a busy few months. And then I don't know. I'm always happy to just see what comes. See if I can get back on the next season of Doctor Who.
As the Doctor. We've got on some of the things you've done quite broadly, I think. So what I want to do is to open it out to the floor.
Yeah, sure.
And for questions from the audience. Gentleman at the back, hello.
Hello there. Do you get more public feedback from or recognition from Coronation Street or Doctor Who, or is it about the same?
Interestingly, I have. I've done a lot of things, and occasionally I'll get recognised from something random like Unforgotten or I don't know, something else that I've Midsummer Murders. But there tend to be 4 things that I get recognised from regularly still. And I can usually tell when somebody recognises me what it's from. Coronation Street is oftentimes, forgive me, this is going to sound very stereotypical, this is a generalisation, but usually it's women of a certain age will recognise me from Coronation Street. Middle-aged men recognise me from Nathan Barley, that seems to be their thing. The gays, gimme.
Yeah.
Still, yeah, and now Doctor Who, and Doctor Who seems to be a real cross-section actually, I'm noticing, because I think it's one of those shows that just appeals to so many people, so kids will recognise me from it, and also, OAPs, and everything in between, so yes, but that, normally I can tell what somebody's going to recognise me from.
I know you from Corrie. I'm a big fan.
There you go, yeah.
That makes you a middle-aged woman then.
It does, yes.
Anybody else? Sir?
We're all big Doctor Who fans. What are you a big fan of?
Ooh, that's a good question. I don't know. I suppose I was quite obsessive about the League of Gentlemen when it came out. I don't know if any of you watched that.
Yeah.
I was a huge League of Gentlemen fan. And I used to watch it all the time, and I would, me and my mates would quote it and whatever, and then I met a few of them. Mark Gatiss is actually a friend of mine now, but I met all of them over the years, and I get very silly around them. I get quite nervous still. So I think that was probably for me, that was one of my big kind of, one of my favourite shows, I suppose.
It's like dark comedy, it's like really strange comedy.
Yes, yeah, that kind of thing, a little bit out there. Because I know David Tennant was a big Doctor Who fan before he did it. I've just come from staying with a friend of mine Sarah Parrish, who is an actress who was in Doctor Who playing a big spider at some point. I didn't see that episode. And she was telling me that she did a show with David years and years ago called Blackpool. They were in this show together. And they filmed it in Blackpool. And apparently there was a Doctor Who convention that was on there at the time, and he made her go with him. And this was when he was a fan of the show. So I know that he was a big. That's what a gig to get. Right.
Same for his company.
Yeah, he's I don't know Peter, but David's a fan of him. But yes, I knew that he was a fan.
That's
Oh, amazing.
Anybody else? Gentleman at the back.
I've read a lot about how financing of new programmes and new ideas is rising and rising and rising, hence not a lot's getting commissioned at the moment. As an actor, are you worried about kind of the future of kind of domestic kind of like availability of work?
Well, I think as an actor you're always worried because you never know when your next job is coming. And yes, I'm aware that I'm very lucky at the moment in that I've got a couple of jobs, which never happens, but I've also just had almost a year of doing nothing. And I was with Sarah and my other friend Nina Shisonia, who is also an actress, I think has been in Doctor Who. And we were all having this conversation yesterday that it never stops. You know, you get to our age and you think at some point we'll just be working all the time. It doesn't really work like that. So I'm not sure that it's such a worry about financing and what gets commissioned. It's much more basic than that. You just worry all the time about whether you're going to get another job because there seems to be so little work always and so many actors.
Do you find it the biggest strain of being an actor is the sort of the uncertainty of it all?
Yeah, I do. I think that's the hard bit. But people talk, you know, acting's easy. Just go out there and say the lines and try and be convincing. It's not that's the difficult bit. It's trying to stay sane when you're not working. That's genuinely the hardest part. But yes, it's always a worry.
Gentleman here.
Presumably this is one of the first Doctor Who conventions.
Yeah.
What is it like for you being up on stage talking as yourself rather than playing a part?
Can I just repeat that? Did you hear the question? The gentleman asked Charlie, this is your one of your first conventions, what's it like being up here, being yourself rather than playing a part?
Yeah, it's always weird because as actors we're just much more comfortable being other people than the same lines that have been written for us. But yeah, I don't mind it. Everybody seems very nice here. I haven't come across anybody that's been tricky or maybe your experience is different. But yes, I don't mind it. I think it's interesting to talk about, to answer the questions. I think I really like with shows like Doctor Who that you get a chance to meet the people that love the show because that's ultimately who we're making it for. And so it feels like a real privilege to be able to be here and actually meet the people that love it. So yes, for that reason I don't mind sitting up here as myself, but it always feels a bit weird because that's not my job.
Are you aware that you're in that? You're in the Doctor Who family and there is no escape?
I suppose so, yeah.
There are people, Doctor Who people, we should have had one with us today, who worked in the 60s.
That's right.
The show, and once you're in, that's it.
That's
basically.
Yeah, there's no escape. Yeah, no, I'm well aware.
In 30 years' time, you'll be splendid. You're up on stage doing something. You come off stage after doing the play, you'd be in the bar, and somebody will come up to you and go, do you remember 30 years ago you were in Doctor Who?
Yeah. But then I'm used to that because of Coronation Street.
Yeah.
Yeah, I still get that daily. I get, excuse me, somebody recognised me from Coronation Street, and it was 12 years ago that I left. So,
It's on the count.
yeah.
So, anybody else? Let's have gentleman there who had his hand up before.
Yeah. During your whole acting career, what is the toughest that you've had to face in your career? Toughest moment that you found challenging?
Do you mean in terms of like a character or a job or?
Just like acting in general, like what you've been in and stuff. Like, is there a moment that you found challenging as an actor, like when you were acting?
I think I find everything challenging because I'm always terrified that people aren't going to like what I do. So I think I'm always very nervous. I think the times as an actor that you run into trouble is if you go, oh, I'm really great at this, I'm doing a really good job, everyone's going to think I'm brilliant. They're the times that people are like, oh, what was that? So I think it always makes me nervous. I've never had one particular job that I've struggled with in that way. I like the fact that I get the opportunity to play very different characters. I'm just going on to play a part in this series where I'm playing a drag queen. I've never done anything like that before. I think that's going to be really interesting, but it terrifies me. Just because that's not me and that's not what I'm used to. And I think every job I do, I'm always a little bit like, I was terrified going to Doctor Who because it's such a big show. And I knew I had all these funny lines. And I thought, what if I don't do them well and they're not funny? And everyone goes, who's that bloke? He was miscast.
Is that one of the real beauties about being an actor is to get into things that you never normally consider?
Yeah. That's why I'm in this job, because that's the fun part. It's like playing.
Yeah.
You know.
Lady there.
Hi, I just wanted to know, because obviously the episode you're in, what would be your favourite Eurovision Song Contest entry and why?
From our episode.
No, just from any Eurovision.
Do you know what? I will admit I'm a really rubbish gay because I can't bear you. Don't get it at all, and I know that I'm going to get cancelled.
Your gay membership.
That's it, I hand it in. Yeah.
I've got to admit, I'm the polar opposite of you. I'm straight and I quite like it.
I've never understood it, and I think it's really long and it goes on for ages. And there are loads. Juno, who wrote it, is a big fan of Eurovision, and on the night that it was on and our episode was on, she did a big screening down in Brighton of the episode of Doctor Who and then of Eurovision. And I went with my son, who was 13 at the time. We went all the way down to Brighton and we watched the episode of Doctor Who. And then Eurovision started, and I was like, all right, come on, let's go and get the train. So I've got no idea to answer your question, but obviously, in our episode of the Interstellar Song Contest, the winner should have been Dogadoo. They were robbed.
Who's next? Gentleman just over there.
Has there an experience in your acting career where you've been starstruck by another actor that you're working with?
Ooh, yeah, probably many times. I did a film a while ago, and only had a few scenes with Viggo Mortensen, and it was such a lovely experience because I went and only had a couple of scenes in this film, and we were filming in Budapest, and I turned up and I was taken to set and I was taken to my trailer, and in my trailer there was a hamper of lots of sort of British sweets and snacks and a jar of Marmite and a copy of the Times and a whole sort of spread of all this British stuff, and I thought, oh, that's nice, it's a nice welcome gift. And I went onto the makeup bus to start to get done up and whatever. And as I was in there, Viggo came onto the bus. And he came over and he said, I'm sorry to interrupt, I just wanted to meet you and say welcome and hello and how are you? And I was like, oh hello, I'm really nervous. And he said, did you get the gifts that I left for you in your trailer? And apparently he did it for everybody that came onto the job, no matter how big their part. And he really thought it through about what to get. And I just thought, what a lovely, warm man. When you've got the number one on the call sheet who behaves like that, it's really special. But I was quite in awe of him, I have to say. And it was just after Lord of the Rings, and he was quite a big deal at the time. I get starstruck all the time, constantly. And obviously going to Coronation Street, my first scene was with like, Barbara Knox, who plays Rita.
What's been your favourite moment filming Doctor Who?
My favourite moment filming Doctor Who, do you know what, I think just the whole experience for me, because I had friends that were there, so it really did feel like going to work with your mates. Obviously Russell and Phil and Andy Bryant, the cast director, are people I've known for many, many years, and Juno's a friend of mine who wrote it, she was on set. But Kadif being a friend of mine, and just the whole experience felt very, there were lots of crew members that I'd worked with before. Everyone was so warm and welcoming and friendly, and Shooty made it very easy. He was very generous as an actor, very kind to work with. So the whole thing was just a very lovely, lovely experience. You can tell that everybody loves the show, and I think that really makes a difference.
Did you ever watch it?
I tell David. And I knew David for years, and then he got the gig, and I was like, still didn't watch it. So when I got the part, I asked Juno which episodes I should start with, because I thought I'm not going back to the 60s. It's taking months. So I started with the reboot, basically, with Chris and Billy, and then watched a lot of David's episodes, and then watched all of the first season with Shooty, just to kind of get a sense of the world, because I think there's a very particular style to Doctor Who. And you want to make sure you get the tone right, particularly with a character that's comedic. You don't want to go too far with it and make it caricatural and hammy, but you also don't want to underplay it, because that's not the style of the show. So it's trying to find the level of camp in a show like that. So it was important to watch it and to understand what the show was. And obviously, I'm aware of Doctor Who. I just wasn't a fan in that way. I am now, though. Love it. And I'll definitely keep watching it, because I think it's great.
The level of camp in a Doctor Who episode about the Eurovision Song Contest.
All right, it's fair to say that our episode was slightly camper than the rest.
Gentlemen,
apologies earlier, I misremembered. It was Gimme Gimme Gimme, but still a gay thing. But a few years ago, I did get to go out to Hornchurch and see you as the priest in The Crucible.
In The Crucible?
And I'm just wondering, as compared to like a 2.5, 3 hour, actually quite a bleak play,
yeah,
where you're doing the same thing night after night, but you get no retakes.
Yes.
Would you prefer doing that over a 45-minute episode where you don't have an audience and you get retakes galore?
Well, it totally depends on what the project is. If you're doing a play like The Crucible, which is one of the greatest plays ever written, and the part that I had, I think, is arguably the best part in the play, the Reverend Hale, and he certainly has the best speeches. I loved every night of that, and I was in that show for maybe 6 months, and I loved it. Having said that, I've done plays that have been rubbish. And then after 2 weeks, you're like, oh God, somebody kill me now. Because you have to keep getting up there and doing it every night. So I think it depends on the quality of the writing, really, and how good the production is. I was lucky, and that was a good production. It was a great play.
the subject matter is very bleak.
It is, but very relevant in so many ways to the world that we're living in now. And that's why it's such a great piece of writing, because you can apply that story as a metaphor to any moment in time.
Anybody else? Gentlemen, right in the back.
As an actor, what's it like being in something down to earth like Coronation Street, and then being in something like a space fantasy like Doctor Who?
But that's the best bit about being an actor, because you get to go all over the place. And I've done all sorts of different things. I've done comedy and then gone straight onto a really serious drama with lots of angst and crying and, you know, and then you go off and do panto. you know, that's what I love about my job. I don't think I'm very good at doing the same thing day in and day out. I get bored very easily. So I love that. I love that. And in fact, the two shows that I'm about to do, both very different again. And that's really nice as an actor to just keep it fresh, really.
Can I rewind just a second there? Panto?
I haven't done panto for a while, but I've done it.
Yeah.
That's so much fun. When my kids were small, finally I've done something that they could be proud of. But yeah, no, I've done panto. I've done everything.
Who else has got a question?
No, that's it.
I'll step in and ask a question. You say you've got a role coming up as a drag queen.
Yeah.
Was the panto that you did as the Dane?
Wasn't actually. No, I was Simple Simon. Jack and the Beanstalk, which seems apt. No, I've never played a Dane. Maybe that's something to put on the bucket list.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the drag queen that I'm playing is sort of a part-time drag queen, so I'm not sure how much time I'm actually going to spend in makeup. I think we're going to find out as we go through. I haven't seen all the scripts yet.
So I imagine it's going to be difficult to get the character without the script in front of you.
I've seen the first four, so I know what the character is. I just haven't seen the last couple.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Any idea when that'll be on telly?
No, I don't know. We start filming next week, so I would say within a year.
Are you filming in London? Or?
All around London. It's great. You don't have to travel. Yeah.
Just your Oyster card. And...
Yeah. I'm hoping they pick me up. That's the other good thing about doing telly. They pick you up and they bring you a cup of tea. You don't have to do anything.
Any more questions for Charlie?
No,
doing something like Corey for such a long period of time, changes of directors, changes of producers, changes of writers, did you ever come across a situation where they came up with a storyline for your character and you went, no way, is that the sort of thing that Marcus would do?
To be honest, as an actor, you don't have any say. You really do just have to do what you're told. You don't get any. And I think I remember Samia, who plays Maria in the show, and I were sitting in the green room having a chat, and we were great friends already. And we were chatting about storylines, and a new producer had come in, and we were like, oh, I wonder what's happening with our characters. And she said, they'll probably end up putting the two of us together. And we both laughed, because obviously that was ridiculous. So I was playing a gay man, and she was with somebody in the show at that point. And sure enough, that's exactly what happened. And we were both a bit stumped by that. We were like, well, how's that going to work? But actually, I spoke to the producer about it, Phil Collinson, who is now producer of Doctor Who, at the time, and he said, we want to look at, what happens if a gay man falls in love with a woman. And we both knew gay men that happened to, so it's not beyond the realms of possibility. I suppose you could argue that Marcus was the first bisexual character in the soap. But it was a bit left field. We were a bit surprised by it, but you just go with the storyline and sort of try and make it as truthful as possible. But unfortunately, you don't get any say. It's not like we could go upstairs and say, I'm not doing this. They're like, yeah, you are. Off you go.
Do you find some directors are a lot more difficult to work with than others?
Directors? Yeah, of course. But then, like anything, some actors are harder to work with. You're always going to get people that you don't gel with, or people that rub you up the wrong way. I tend to get on with everyone. I'm pretty easy going.
We touched earlier about you said that you're in Doctor Who now, and that's it, you're never getting out. Corey's a bit like that, isn't it?
It is. Yeah.
It's the Corey family.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, for sure. And I'm always surprised that people recognise me from Corey, because I left 12 years ago, but then I think, if I saw Curly Watts in the street, I'd recognise him, and I'd know where I recognise him from, and he's been out the show for decades. So maybe it's just one of those programmes that once you've been in it, people recognise you.
Do you still meet up with your old
I do, yeah. A lot of them. I got a message from Sue Cleaver this morning, who plays Eileen. Yeah, a lot of people in the show I still stay in touch. I mean, 5 years is a long time.
Yeah. Lady the front here.
Is there any role in any genre, film, stage, what have you, that you would like to do? Not necessarily because you're not old enough or you used to because you were young, too old now. But is there any character or role that you see, that's the bucket list, that's the...
I think when I was younger, there were a lot of roles that I really wanted to play. You know, like most actors, you want to have a go at Hamlet, and you want to try those kind of big classic characters. I'm 52 now and essentially quite lazy. So the idea of playing Hamlet now, I'm like, I can't be asked for that. So I think now the things that turn me on are things that are filming close to home, and I get a lot of days off. That seems to be where I like to see my career going. Voiceover work, yeah, lots of breaks. But yeah, I don't know really. Doctor Who was definitely on my list of shows that I wanted to be in, and that wasn't because I wasn't a fan, but it just felt like such a big, iconic programme. And so part of our history, and I wanted to be part of that really. So, you know, I'm very happy to be part of the Doctor Who family, you know, so I want to do that.
We see a lot of, should we say, it's not really crossover, it's the same actors who are going between Emmerdale and Corrie and EastEnders. Would a role in EastEnders be of an appeal? It's only filmed at Elstree.
It is filmed at Elstree. Never say never. It's not where I'm aiming for at the moment, but I've got a lot of friends in EastEnders and having a great time. So yeah, I think the show is really doing very well at the moment. It's going from strength to strength. So yeah, never say never. Make plans at the moment.
Gentleman there.
Sorry to harp on.
No, keep
drag
going.
queen role, but are you getting any training for that?
Training for what?
To do your drag queen role?
No, I'm not, and I should be. I did say to them, I went and had the makeup test last week, and I've got to go and have a costume fitting. But I did say to them, I feel like I should be going out dressed up like that, because I don't really want the first time that I get into the full gear to be on set. I'd like to experience being out in the world dressed like that, so I can see how people react to me. I can see what it feels like to you know, be out in public dressed as a woman, drag queen. So no, they haven't made. But I've emailed the director saying I would like to try getting ready before we start shooting. So hopefully they'll make that happen. I like it.
You can finish the drag race.
I think drag race is quite my thing. You never know.
Can I jump in and ask another question?
Yeah.
There's been a lot of mention in the conversation so far in different contexts about family, Doctor Who family and your own family. Tell us a bit about Out with the Family.
About what family?
Out with the Family.
Out with the Family. Oh yeah, that was a company that I set up a while ago to for I think a lot of the time I was a gay parent, but I was in central London. It was kind of easy to be there. It's very accepting. There were lots of other gay people around, but for a lot of same-sex parents, they literally were the only gays in the village, and that can be very isolating. And so I set up a company to try and arrange meetups for families like that from all across the country. And we used to do that quite regularly. We'd go to the zoo, or we'd do picnics, or sports days, or whatever it was, have parties, just as a way of introducing people to each other and hoping that they would feel less alone with it, because it can be very lonely. So that's why I did that.
Do you feel that the representation in recent years has helped in that regard in terms of not making it feel quite as lonely a thing?
I think so. I think the world is changing. I mean, when I had my column in The Guardian, I was writing it every Saturday for about a year. And I was on Twitter, and I have a lot of followers on Twitter, and I would post a link every Saturday. And you know what Twitter's like. I mean, people give you abuse for saying that the weather's bad. You know, somebody somewhere's going to troll you. I didn't get any bad response from my column. It was really remarkable, and that was even going back 10, 12 years now when I was writing it. So I feel like people are much more accepting about that kind of stuff now. Hopefully, I don't know, fingers crossed, but yeah, it does seem to be better.
Certainly does, certainly does. I think, you know, you've had a big part to play now.
Well, hopefully.
Yeah, so good on you.
Thank you.
So, gentlemen now?
You're 52 now. Have you always been out as an actor? We basically always out as an actor.
Yeah, the idea of being in the closet has never appealed to me. There were a lot of actors around of my generation that were in the closet, but that was not something that I was ever interested in. I just thought the idea of not being able to be myself for the sake of my job seemed silly. So yeah, I never did that. Yeah, it was. By lots of people. I had agents telling me that I should be quiet about my sexuality. I had casting directors, producers. Yeah, it happened to me a lot actually. And this is only going back to the sort of 90s, really. But no, never interested in that.
I've always found that a little bit strange, you know. I see, some Russell T Davies said a long time ago, whether he was misquoted or something, he said something like only gay actors should play gay people. I just thought, hang on a minute, you're an actor. You should be able to play straight people, gay people, bisexual people, everything.
That's absolutely right, and I agree with you there. I think Russell was slightly misquoted. I think our job as an actor is very simple. We are pretending to be people that we're not. Therefore, we should absolutely be able to play every role, and straight actors should be able to play gay and gay straight and whatever it is. However, it's not an equal playing field, and straight actors play gay all the time, but gay actors very rarely get cast in straight roles. And I think what Russell was saying was we need to make this fair, and it's not fair at the moment. It's the same reason that Julie Hesmondhalgh, who was amazing as Hayley in Coronation Street and has done wonderful things for the trans community, quite rightly would not get that job now. Now that role would go to a trans one, as it should, because it's important that we see trans people having those opportunities and telling their own stories as well. And I think that's what Russell meant. I mean, don't quote me on it, I wasn't there and I won't speak for him, but I think yes, of course we should all be able to play lots of parts, but at the moment it doesn't feel like it's equal.
No.
So that's what it comes down to, I think.
I would like to see casting done. If I was a casting director, I've got to be honest, I wouldn't be interested in sexuality.
Right.
I just want to see you doing whatever it was.
Who's the best person for the job?
Yeah, that's exactly what it should be. We are out of time, ladies and gentlemen, unfortunately. Charlie, it's been an absolute delight. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen.
We need to hurry to get to the